Preparing live stream? Bismillah. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So today is 19th of November, and we have with us our student from Diploma in Artificial Intelligence Operations at RQF
Yes.
Level 6, Amir Yaqoob. He has completed all of his assignments, all of his MCQs, assignments, and everything, his courses as well. So today is his final exam. It's the same protocol. I hope that when they sent you the email, the protocol was mentioned over there. I'm not going to repeat that, inshallah. Okay. You have 15 to 20 minutes to present to me your topic, followed by a quick Q&A session that I will go through as per your presentation, and the question can also come from anywhere from within the diploma, right? So just relax. If at any given point in time you cannot understand any question, you can ask me can you please repeat that question again, and I will be able to do so. Okay. If you do not
Right.
know the answer of a given question, just tell me, I'm afraid I don't know the answer to this question. Can you please move on to the next one? I will be able to do so, right? So let's proceed. I wish you the best, and Bismillah. Please. You can share the screen
Can I
and
share my screen?
yes, of
Okay,
course.
sir. Can you see it?
It is loading on my side. Yes, I can.
No.
Bismillah.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amir Yaqoob, and today's my topic is on zero trust architecture in cloud, and especially its implementation on AWS Azure. Here is table of content. First, we will go through an overview of zero trust, then brief history, then difference between traditional network and zero trust. Then we will go through principles of zero trust and their implementation on cloud. Why zero trust? Zero trust has become a standard for data security, and this approach is crucial for achieving confidentiality, availability, and integrity of data. Zero trust transformed from a cyber security buzzword to a core IT standard from past few years. Zero trust is a security framework and cybersecurity philosophy that assumes that no one is trusted inside or outside the network and requires strict verification. Why we need zero trust in cloud? Due to decentralized, shared, distributed nature of the cloud and dynamic workloads like container, VM, and their integration with third parties, and user accessing them from multiple locations make it surface, increase the attack surface, and making it crucial for corporates to implement zero trust to protect data, applications, and their systems. As said by John Kinderwalk, trust is a vulnerability. Brief history: the first term zero trust was first coined in 2010 by John Kinderwalk, who was a research analyst at Forrester. In 2014, Google was one of the major organizations that implement zero trust principles with its Beyond Corp initiative, and it eliminates to relying on VPN and provide a secure access to their remote employees. In 2018, NIST released a special publication 800-207 titled as Zero Trust Architecture. This provides a framework to the organizations who are looking for a document or official document to implement zero trust in their organization. This also provides foundational guidelines and architecture model of zero trust. In 2021, US White House released a formal federal zero trust strategy in which they make it mandatory for the organizations to implement zero trust in all the federal organizations. Then there is a difference between what is difference between zero trust and traditional network. Historically, corporates were using firewalls to create a strong boundary between inside or outside the network. But inside and outside the network, and in modern world threats it has become insufficient because attackers can get access to internal networks by compromised credentials, unsecured devices, or other vectors. While zero security works on the principle never trust, always verify, and it needs every user to verify its identity and authenticate and authorize before accessing any resource. Here is the principle of zero trust. First principle is never trust, always verify. It requires a user to authenticate and authorize before granting any access to a resource, despite of network
So,
location, even inside.
so
Yes,
wanted
sir.
something. When I called you this morning, by default, we trust you, but we have to verify. But in the zero trust
Yes,
model,
sir.
it says never trust, always verify. See, so
Yes, sir.
don't take it the wrong way. When I called you in the morning and I was asking you about some of the irregularities that we saw, but we just wanted to verify, right? That
Yes,
was,
sir.
so
Yes,
this
sir.
is never trust, always verify.
Always very. Yes, sir.
This is one of the things that Abu Bakr Siddiq, when Abu Jahl came to Abu Bakr Siddiq and he said, your friend, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that, he went to this, he went to that, he went to Jerusalem. So you know what Abu Bakr Siddiq said? If Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it, then it is true. This is the manhaj in Islam. Muslim, mashallah,
Yes,
this
sir.
is manhaj in Islam. We have to verify.
Yes, sir.
We have to
Got it.
verify. We can't say, okay, this is true, whatever. No, I have to go there, verify, look at the circumstances, read the statement, look at the data, verify, and then come back and say, okay, everything is okay. Okay, proceed.
Okay. Next principle is least privilege. It restricts user permission and assume, emphasize that the only minimum permission is given to the user, no more, no less. Then assume breach enforce to design a system assuming that the breach has occurred or is about to happen, and for force the organizations, direct the organizations to take proactive measures like automate incident response, threat modeling, and focus on limiting the damage or detecting the security vulnerabilities earlier. Then microsegmentation, it is about isolating the network into small zones or parts for restricting the lateral movement or reducing the attack surface. Then continuous monitoring and logging. It is about tracking all activities and logs for auditing or accountability and real-time threat detection. Then device trust. It is about ensuring that every device is authenticated, updated, compliant, and patched. Then next is dynamic access control. It is about controlling the access as per real-time assessment like location, IP address, or device of the user. Then encryption and secure communication. It is about protecting the data in even in a transit or at rest for protecting from unauthorized access. Then now we will see how we can implement this model on cloud. First, for never trust, always verify, we will use AWS IAM, which manage secure access to the services and resources of the AWS, with it integrated with multi-factor authentication, which is the additional layer of security to enforce continuous authentication and authorization. For Azure, we will leverage Azure Active Directory, which has now renamed to Microsoft Entra ID, and with it, we will use Azure AD-ID protection. AD-ID protection is a basically ML-based tool which detects and remediates identity risks to authenticate and authorize users. For privileged accounts, we can use a privileged identity manager to enforce time-bound or just-in-time access. For least privilege, we will design and IAM permissions and assign different jobs using IAM roles. And we can use an AWS IAM access analyzer, which identifies unintended access to AWS resources in real time. Then Azure RBAC to define policies. Basically, RBAC restrict access to the resources on the basis of roles. And then Azure AD conditional access, which dynamically control the access of the user on the basis of their context and behavior. To apply the principle of least privilege to limit user and devices access. We can automate this by using ISC tools like Terraform, AWS CloudFormation, to create roles, users, which help us in reducing human error and enhancing security. Also, reduce our time, and we can integrate security in with using policy linters like TF-linter or CloudFormation Guard in CI/CD pipelines and security gates. For assume breach, we can leverage. We have to focus on threat detection and auto response. For this, we can leverage AWS Security Hub, which is a centralized threat insights, provide security posture about the organization by continuously monitoring and checking per best practices and aggregating all the information to its dashboard. For real-time threat detection, we will use Amazon Duty Guard, which is IDS, and when we integrate it with the AWS Lambda, it becomes IPS. When for Azure, we will use Azure Security Center, which monitor and secure Azure workloads and also provide cloud security posture management. Azure Defender for cloud apps is basically advanced threat protection, and Azure Central is the SIEM solution of the Azure. And when we integrate it with Azure Logic app, it becomes SOAR, security orchestration and automation response to detect, remediate threats in real time. To implement microsegmentation, we will use AWS VPC, and Azure we will use VNets, which isolates the network into public or private subnets. Further, we can use security groups, which is a instance level packet inspection, and it is stateful. Network access control list is stateless, but it works at subnet level. Further, we can use firewall, which is a level 7 application and performs as deep packet inspection for IDS and IPS both. For isolate the sensitive workload, we can use AWS private link without exposing our applications on internet or publicly. For continuous monitoring, we will use CloudTrail, which logs all the activities and changes to the resources. Further, we can use Amazon Guard Duty for real-time threat detection, AWS Config for continuous compliance checks. If there is any change, it will send its findings to AWS Security Hub. Further, AWS CloudWatch for real-time monitoring logs and alerts. Basically, it is the observability module of the AWS. In Azure, we can implement continuous logging through Azure Activity Logs, Azure Monitor for metrics and observability, Azure Defender for real-time threat detection, and Azure Policy to ensure compliance. For device trust, we will use AWS System Manager, which is centralized the operation status of the devices and resources. Further, we use its system manager agent installed on the devices which are used to access the company or corporate resources to ensure the device is healthy and compliant. In Azure, we can use Azure Endpoint to validate device health. For dynamic access control or adaptive security, we use IAM policies, create and then use IAM access analyzer for continuous analysis of access permission on the basis of their location, time, and device health. For Azure, we will use Azure AD conditional access. It also grant dynamic access on the basis of location, time, device health, and previous patterns. For encryption and secure communication in the AWS, we will use AWS Key Management Service, which is create, control, or rotate the encryption keys for both data at rest and transit. AWS Certificate Manager basically helps in automating provision of TLS certificates, and AWS Secret Manager is used to store secrets like passwords and tokens. In Azure, we will use Key Vault that is used to store encryption keys, certificates, and manage secrets. while Azure Disk Encryption is used to encrypt disk, and Azure Application Gateway is used to data in transit. Thanks.
Okay, so let's start the Q&A session. You can stop the screen sharing. So let me open the topic. I have the notes over here for me. So the topic is pretty intense. The presentation you sent me has two network diagrams as well. You didn't show me those network diagrams.
Sir, these are detailed diagram. It took extra time. If you say, I can demonstrate.
Can you please walk me through those diagrams as well? Because that
Yes.
shows the whole architecture, right? How it should look like.
I, sir, I make it myself.
Yeah, please.
Uh, my screen is visible.
It is loading on my side. I can't see except a white block. It's just a white block.
Yes, sir. Sir, here is AWS Cloud, here is region, and
Okay.
here is VPC. VPC has public subnets and private subnets.
You made this
Here are
diagram.
the yes, sir.
What kind of tool did you use to make this diagram?
Sir, it's basically animation of PowerPoint, and PowerPoint has basically AWS has PowerPoint slides and these icons in the slide.
Okay, no, I'm asking you, like, did you borrow it from somewhere or you made it yourself?
Sir, I made it myself.
Okay, because I will be asking a lot
It
of questions regarding these things that you are showing it to me, right? Okay. All right, so
okay,
please.
okay, sir.
Okay.
It took me whole day to create it, and for from presentation and from now 2 days ago, I added all the animation to like
So when you
so
start with the architectural diagram, right? We're going to
yes, sir.
jump on the Q&A session because this is something I'm going to cover as part of the Q&A, right? I'm not going to ask you the definitions. The definitions part are easy parts, right? So
Yes, sir.
walk me through this whole VPC into a region. How were you developing the public net subnet, the private subnet? Please, if you can walk me through that.
Yes, sir. Here is the region, AWS multiple regions in different countries, and they has in them data centers, and these are basically for redundancy and further in a data center we create a VPC, and in VPC we create multiple subnets. If we attach it to a net gateway or a routing, then it go to the internet and it become public subnet. If we isolate it from that, it become private subnet. And further, we create a security groups, which is for instances, workloads, and in this, we by with instance we have an application running in front end, and in back end in private subnet our RDS is running, which is a relational database service, and an EPS is connected to instance. Here for VPC there is a VPC gateway, and through gateway traffic which is coming is filtered through network access control list, and the network access control list is analyzed by network access analyzer, which is like same we have IAM access analyzer, and these are logs going to flow logs. We manage secrets using AWS Secret Manager, like our database passwords, and encrypting the database and Elastic Box storage using AWS KMS. Here is comes CloudTrail, which logs all activities, APIs, and changes to the cloud. And here is API gateway sending all the logs. Here come Amazon Inspector, which
The things that
check one.
API, what other things can Amazon API gateway can do? We use the same thing for ourselves as well.
Yes.
You know, what are the things that
Amazon
API gateway can do?
Amazon API encrypt the traffic that the user IM user sending to it. Encrypt the traffic.
Amazon
And
API gateway is not for data encryption. The Amazon API gateway is there
one
to
of
keep track
yes,
of all the APIs that are being consumed so that it can keep trace, track, secure those APIs, so on and so forth, right? So when you run the
yes,
API,
what
yes,
yes.
go ahead.
One of the one of the function of API is encrypting data and keeping the log of all the API calls.
Yes, I mean, essentially, again, it's not there for encryption purposes. It is just a gateway so that, like in our application on a nafi.com, when a user
Yes,
comes,
sir.
one single user can end up calling, because it's a service-oriented architecture, one user can end up calling more than, 400 or 500 APIs by just visiting the page, right?
Yes,
There are different kind of APIs that are fetching the data and bringing it over there, right? So in our application, we have more than 2,000 APIs, and it was getting ridiculous, like in terms of managing them. So we had to deploy Amazon API Gateway because there are other alternatives available in the market, but Amazon API Gateway was easier for us to manage. And what it does is that in all the applications we have to change our architecture, which is a 2-month project that we're doing right now. It's going to take us 2 months to pull this off completely, where each and every API is now going into Amazon API. And then in return, Amazon API gives us a separate API that our application needs to call. So when a user visits our website, the application calls an API. That API is through Amazon API Gateway. And then in the Amazon API Gateway sees, okay, this is for authentication service, payment service, enrollment service, CMS service. There are different kinds of services, right? There are tons of services over there. Stripe payment is different, dLocal payment is different, ePay is different. There are so many other things, right? So that is what API does. It keeps track of cost, usage, securing the API. Yes, while securing the API, it can encrypt, but it is not an encryption service per se. Okay? I'm telling you this
yes,
because when you go in for the interview and you are
yes, sir.
explaining this architecture, that's exactly what the companies have deployed. This is exactly similar to what we use, but there are more things in there as well, right? Because every company is unique, right? So we do
Yes,
use firewall, RDS instances, EBS, KMS. We use pretty much end up using all of these things and many more things as well. So I'm just telling you that when you go for the interview, you have to prepare yourself to understand each and every solution better, right? And that's why you should do Al Razak Labs, because in Al Razak, each and every of the scenario is already covered by a combination of
yes, sir.
open source and cloud proprietary solutions. Okay.
Yes, sir. I have completed a starter labs of Razak 2 months
How are
ago.
you filing? How are you finding them?
Sir, they they give many uh, like information and prepare for the real industry work.
Yes, we will be allowing everyone to use 16 GB and 8 GB and 4 GB machines in the coming days. By January, it will be February, it will be online. So everyone will be able to use those things. Anyway, okay, proceed. Amazon API Gateway, then what happens?
Sir, Amazon API Gateway, then here comes Amazon Inspector, which check the vulnerabilities and the changes to the instances, only EC2 instances. And then Amazon Guard Duty, which is a IDS solution, which basically uh, detect real-time threat, monitor real-time threats, and it's basically collecting logs from CloudTrail, flow logs, DNS, etc. Then AWS config, which check the configuration management of the our resources as per regulatory compliance or company security policy. These both send their logs to AWS Security Hub. Security Hub basically a unified security dashboard which give cloud security posture of an organization. and it also have a SWOT-based scoring system, categorized the findings in form of a high, critical, low, so the an organization can prioritize their pressing issue. Further, Amazon CloudWatch, the Amazon guard duty then send the alert to the CloudWatch, and CloudWatch send to Lambda or simple notification service. Simple notification service in we can set up email notification or use another API like WhatsApp or Telegram to send notification. And AWS Lambda, if like a system in a system or instance they find a vulnerability, and Amazon got to detect it, then it send the trigger to the CloudWatch, and CloudWatch send a trigger to Lambda, and Lambda may isolate or terminate its instance. Then further, AWS System Manager is used to manage the operation posture of this organization, like updating or patching or fixing the vulnerabilities. It's also has features like playbooks, which we can run on multiple systems. We can also access, like we want to access system without exposing SSH or RDP port, we can also achieve it using AWS System Manager. Here comes user. User comes to the cloud via web application or want to access the resource. They have to come via AWS IAM, and IAM send all the logs and activities and access the cloud via API gateway. If there is a dynamic access control, then multi-factor authentication will be triggered. And if the user authenticate itself, then it is authenticated user. IAM access analyzer is identifies the unintended access in the resources and mitigate them. Through the AWS Shield, which is a DDoS protection, the traffic goes through AWS Firewall, which is placed in the region, and from region the traffic goes to via VPC gateway and to the application. Here come S3 bucket, which is also encrypted using AWS KMS. Amazon Messi is used to detect the sensitive data like PII or PHI or other credit card like informations and send notification about its visibility. And Here comes the AWS Security Lake. AWS Security Lake provides a unified posture or unified logs, like we're collecting logs from different sources, third-party tools, multi-clouds, and it provides a unified pattern or format for the solution. And then the SageMaker collects data from CloudTrail or GuardDuty, and we can also train SageMaker on Amazon Security Lake. And this data is stored in a data model stored in S3. And then comes Bedrock. Bedrock is a foundation. There are multiple foundational generative AI models in Bedrock, like Meta's Llama 3 and Cloud, etc. And on the basis of this data, we can train our foundational model to get the insights in form of generative AI. That's also.
That is something we are already using, right? In the we call this whole process artificial intelligence operations, where each and every aspect of our infrastructure is being monitored, our applications, and even like our business as usual BAU activities, everything is being monitored
Yes.
by AI itself. It's a very big project that we have to pull it off, and there's so many things, and this is part of the digital transformation strategy that we're doing. Propose a strategy to implement continuous compliance checks in a zero trust framework. What would you do?
So we will use on AWS, we will use AWS config with integrating it with the security hub, which has a setting in which we can activate the regulatory compliance system, and which collects findings from all over the cloud and set report to us. And for audit report, we can use AWS audit, and in Azure, we can use Azure Blueprints, and for configuration management, we can use Azure Policy.
So in your first architecture, you showed me something, right? You showed me
Yes,
that in the traditional architecture, it is very difficult to implement zero trust model, traditional
yes,
firewall
sir.
versus in today's cloud firewalls. Why is that the case?
Sir, in traditional network, there are only two uh, like two states. One is inside and one is outside. If we don't use zero trust in cloud, it is also traditional network.
No. My question again is, pay attention. My question again is, what is the difference between, okay, let me rephrase this. What is the difference between traditional firewall, the old school firewalls, versus software-defined firewalls?
Yes.
What is the difference?
Those were physical firewalls and they are software-defined firewalls and work on application level.
Yes, they work on application level, and that's what defines them. But what do they do? I mean, why is it easy to implement zero trust architecture on a cloud versus traditional infrastructure?
So for traditional infrastructure, we have to buy firewalls, physical firewalls, and setting them and multiple setting rules. But in software defined, they are pre-defined rules, and we have to modify them and implement them.
In the software-defined firewalls, it is easier to implement because the management plane and the gateway, everything is managed within the firewall itself, the software, right? So
Yes.
even if the machines are sitting on the same subnet in a traditional firewall, can they talk to each other?
No, sir.
They're sitting on the same subnet. One IP is 10.10.10.2, the other is 10.10.10.3. Dot 2 and dot 3. They're sitting on the same subnet, the same gateway. Can they talk to each other? This is a traditional firewall.
In traditional firewall,
Yes.
yes, they can talk to each other
Why?
uh, because it works on gateway level, and if it someone enters the network, then they can talk to
Yes,
each other.
that's the right
That
answer.
that's the yes, sir.
That's the right answer. Let me ask you, in the software-defined networking, the VPC, both the machines are sitting on the same level. Can you restrict them by not talking to each other?
Yes, sir. By implementing security groups.
The security group. So can you have the same kind of things in the traditional firewalls?
No, sir. That was the problem there in traditional network.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Uh, in terms of architecture, right? How
Yes.
would you evaluate the use of zero trust architecture in addressing insider threats?
Inside a threat, sir, we can implement zero trust, or sorry, sir, least privilege, and every user has to authenticate before accessing and to be authorized to access any resource, and then the continuous monitoring will be implemented to these uh, insider threats.
Okay. If you have to create a zero trust architecture governance framework for a global
Yes, sir.
organization with varying compliance requirements, what would you need?
So first we need consistent policy.
Okay, policy, good.
Uh, yes, then we implement it using AWS config and Azure policy to achieve this.
So you need a multi-jurisdiction compliance management. You need automated policy enforcement. You need real-time
Yes,
compliance and monitoring. You need audit trail maintenance, audits,
yes,
internal audits, external audits. And lastly, automated remediation workflows, right? Because that's going to be a bigger problem, closing those issues when they are identified. Okay.
yes.
Um, Developing a zero trust strategy for a quantum safe cryptography transaction. what are the must things you need to have?
I don't know anything about blockchain or cryptography.
No, this is we are talking about quantum safe cryptography, right? So that the quantum computer right now organizations are implementing quantum safe cryptographies because they can't implement quantum computers because they're very expensive. Quantum networks are very expensive. Quantum cloud is very expensive, right? So
Yes,
what
sir.
they're doing is they are implementing quantum resistant encryption. They call it quantum safe cryptography transactions. Back in 2017, I did this work, right?
Right.
So I'm asking you, how would you develop a zero trust implementation strategy for a quantum safe cryptography transaction? In a transition, if you have to transition this company into a quantum safe cryptography, how would you go about? What would you need to have? It's a bonus point question. Okay. Uh, let's move on. So you know what you would go for quantum resistant algorithm implementation, key management transition strategy, because the traditional keys are managed differently, quantum keys are managed differently, right? Hybrid cryptography approaches, you need a mixture of public, private, and quantum now. You need to have a certificate authority updates. You need to your own CA and backward compatibility maintenance, right? So all of these 5, 6 areas are important for you to understand. Okay.
Right.
This
I
is part
don't
of
know
your,
anything
this
about
is part of your, this whole exercise and the Al Razak program is part of you for preparing you for the interview. So if you pass this interview and you complete
it.
all the
Yes,
Al Razak requirements, then you go through job placement, because going through
yes,
Al Razak will enable you to be able to answer any and every question that our employers are throwing it at you, right? That is the whole
right.
idea. Okay, if you have to implement a comprehensive supply chain strategy, security
Yes.
strategy within a zero trust framework, what are the must have you need to have?
So supply chain activity, we have to first verify their code, and then in case of any suspicious, we can place in it separate subnet where it cannot interact with other applications, and keep continuous monitoring what the application or what the product is doing,
Yeah.
and implement the least privilege principle to
So you need to have
restrict their access.
third party access management, code signing and verification, as you mentioned, automated scanning tools, vulnerability scanning tools,
Yes, sir.
compliance monitoring, asking them to provide external third party compliance reports, and secure CI/CD pipeline implementation, right? All of these things are very important. Do not stop your learning on the portal, right? Keep on doing this. After completing this, keep on doing the labs. The labs they're going to become mandatory
So,
next year anyway, right? So the reason
yes,
is
sir.
that next year we won't be interviewing anyone until they go through the labs and complete the
Yes,
labs.
sir. I after completing certain labs, I mailed for further lab, advanced lab. But I have also
Fine.
completed all Razak requirements.
No, no,
But
I'm
they,
really happy that you are going through all of those things. You can appear for the interviews,
right,
right? So if you complete all the labs, I have no issue in terms of picking up the phone and sending you for an interview, right?
right.
Because you can manage those things, inshallah. So next thing is like, if you have to design a zero trust architecture that automatically adapts to threat level, it's an adaptive zero
Yes,
trust strategy framework. It adapts to
yes,
threat level using AI, machine learning, LLM capabilities, right? Using Bedrock.
yes, sir.
Uh, what do you need to have to perform this thing?
So first of all, we need data and a good model to which to train it on, and then threat intelligence, feedback, and then retraining the data on diverse and different data to make it accuracy.
So you need integration of Amazon Bedrock SageMaker that you showed in your diagram, right? And Azure
Right,
ML
sir.
for threat analysis. You need dynamic policy adjustment based on risk
Yes.
scoring, what we did with your assignments.
Yes.
Automated response to detected response patterns, predictive security
Yes.
measures, and real-time risk assessment and access control modification. That is exactly what every student is now going through right now. So you can imagine we are multiple steps ahead of other organizations when we are implementing these things that we are teaching to our students.
Yes.
We practice what we preach, right? As they say. So this is very important. Okay, you can stop the screen sharing. We're going to go through some of the further questions because I think we are having a good session. The other thing is like describe a comprehensive incident response plan. How would you develop that? What plan? The plan should have what in a zero trust architecture ZTA? How would you perform that? What do you need to have?
We, sir, we can implement AI to notify or send alert and then isolate the system automatically, which has root cause, and then send it to SOC team for further analysis.
Okay, you're done. Do you have any questions for me before I tell you the results?
No, sir.
How many Al Razak labs have you done so far?
The starter labs I have done all like Linux and OpenShift and OpenStack, all labs, what they are given in starting. And waiting for advanced lab now.
Would you like to know your results?
Yes, sir.
So you scored 18 out of, uh, sorry, just give me 1 minute. Oh, just give me 1 minute. Sorry. I've got to add these three numbers. Okay. Okay, that's good. MashaAllah. Okay, Amir Yaqoob, you have scored 21 in the presentation. Okay, that was good, clean,
Yes.
simple, to the point. And the architectural diagram was very good. You should have explained that in the front rather than at the very end when I had to ask you. You just kept it at, like at the very end.
So due to short time, I kept it there.
Okay, that's fine. In the Q&A, you were able to answer and explain multiple questions when we went through the architectural diagram, right? So your architectural diagram walkthrough uh, basically helped you a lot in terms of answering those questions, right?
Yes.
So altogether, you scored in the Q&A session and everything. It was 17 and a half, right?
Yes.
So 21 plus 17.5 and plus another. Just give me 1 minute. So 21 plus. So in the presentation, you scored 22%, 22.5 out of 25, because you were able to answer all the tougher questions, and you scored, the only point you lost was like when you were not able to answer the bonus round.
Yes.
So altogether you scored out of 50, 43.5, right? Which is a good
Okay.
score. Your percentage is coming to 87%. I believe that you secured A grade in the diploma, right?
Mashallah.
In the final part, in the first part, your uh, MCQ scores are being basically normalized and correlated with the data, right? So that's why when I called you in the morning, we were looking at some patterns and we were trying to make sense out of them, right? So
Yes.
you came very strong, mashallah. I have no problems whatsoever. So what is your base qualification prior to joining us? What were you doing?
Sir, I have done masters in international relation and plus LLB.
So international relations, LLB has no relationship with what you're doing right now, right?
Uh,
Uh,
Basically, I done masters for completing my master and
so
LLB
you just
for
did your
some.
master's just for the sake of doing your master's so that you can show it on your
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I basically want to go abroad and doing master in an IT related degree. That's why I'm enrolled in this
Yeah.
diploma.
Okay, so this is what
That,
you can do. This is what you can do. We have recently started sponsoring people who wants to go to US and other places, right? So
that
uh, if you complete your Al Razak program, you have already completed the diploma. If you complete your Al Razak program, you secured a job, you start working over there, and if you want to apply for a university in US, for example, and you
yes,
want to go to US or Canada, wherever you want to go, right? We can assist you in sponsoring you and providing you bank statement and financial means. You can submit the fee, but we
right,
can assist you in terms of getting that sponsorship that you need to go outside. Sometimes that becomes a big, gap that you have to show bank statement. So we have started doing that, and we can give you a bank statement of up to $200,000, right?
right.
So if
Thanks.
you keep on performing like this, get the work
Inshallah.
done. But before you go to US, do you want to go to US? Where do you want to go?
Everyone wants to go US and Pakistan.
I mean, there's US or there's Canada, there's UK. Keep Canada as a backup plan, right? But US is a
Right,
great place for those who have the skills. For illegal migrants, it's becoming difficult because Donald Trump is only after illegal immigration because they need legal people, doctors, engineers to come in and play their part, right? And they pay a lot of taxes. That's what they're looking for. But they don't want illegal migrants, which are increasing in numbers, and that's creating problems for them, right? As a country, whatever they have, that's their own issues. We don't want to go there, right? That's not my job. That's not your job. But yes, we can
yes,
help you in terms of securing that for you, right?
right,
That is something we have started offering to our students, a pathway so that they can do all of those things. There is also a global, just like the global internship program, there's a global scholarship program which is coming up, and we will start offering those programs, but the requirements are pretty tough. You have to go through the courses, prove
right,
yourself, right? And then we can offer
inshallah.
you, if someone is just coming to us with just their academic records, it means nothing to us. You have to come, show what you can do, deliver, secure a job. Then we say, okay, this person has the will and the capacity to do all of these things, right? And then we can
Right,
say, okay, now we can sponsor you for going. And once we sponsor you for going to US, then you can also, once you go there, my suggestion would be that you should apply for a master's program in US. Look for the cheapest university you can get, which comes under the Department of Education in US, whatever body they have, the federal body, right? That that allows the university uh, graduates to be able to secure 3 years of work permit, right? Normally, they give you up to 3 years of work permit, which is an open work permit that allows you to work for any organization. So if you go there with all of this experience and everything, and you have learned, but do perfect the Al Razak labs, right? Because that's
Yes,
to
sir.
secure that thing, all pathways goes through Al Razak labs. So to secure our bank statement, who knows, you may not need the bank statement. You have enough money, then you don't need it. You can just do it on your own. But if you want that assistance from us, then you need to complete Al Razak program because you have already completed the diploma program. The diploma is done.
Yes,
Get the Al Razak program done. The LinkedIn requirements are pretty easy. Other requirements are pretty easy. It's just the labs part, which is tough, right? But it's not impossible, right? If you can get that
yes,
thing done, you can take the admission, pay your fee. And before you go there, my recommendation to you would be to pass some of the exams because then we can help you in terms of getting EB visa over there as well. For the EB visa, you have to teach on our side some of the things. You have to
yes.
teach some of the things. And if you can do teaching, then we can assist you in terms of moving further and basically going deeper and like within our own organization, being able to teach and help other students. And then we can assist you with the EB visa and some other categories of visas as well, right? If you want to go to US, same thing in UK, it's a different visa categories, but like in other countries, it's the same thing. That's open to you, right? That is open to
Right.
you. If you want to avail it, you can certainly avail it, right? The other thing is just like text me after this, once this is done. I would like to have a
Right.
conversation with you for 5 minutes, right?
Right.
Inshallah. Um, I wish you the best. You did very well,
Thank you, sir.
even though before, uh, you know, before this interview, I had to have a word with you. But like it was required. I just wanted to get the understand, as you mentioned, you can't trust, you have to verify. If I
Yes, sir.
start trusting people, I used to trust people, but they give me a lot of burn, right? So now I verify. I said, okay, I trust you, but I need to verify. I still trust you. Yes, it's okay, but I need to verify, right? So I'm happy.
Right.
I'm really pleased. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay, well, Jazakallah khair for your time. May Allah reward you immensely in this world and hereafter, and may Allah help you,
Um,
in your professional and personal objectives that you want to achieve. If you need anything, let us know. And I wish you the best, and I know that you will perform very well in the coming days. Do you work?
inshallah.
What is your primary work of line right now? Where do you work? What do you do?
So we can discuss on call if you don't mind.
Okay, I will. All right, I understand that. Okay. So, but like whatever agency you're working for, you know, uh, there's a lot of work for you uh, overseas, right? People who have different backgrounds in different agencies and different government agencies, they get a lot of basically assistance in terms of immigration and what kind of line of work they can do because you can contribute a lot. And how old are you?
33.
Oh, this is the age of the Jannah. Right? So perfect,
Yes.
perfect time. Are you married?
Yes, sir. I have one daughter,
One daughter, mashallah. Okay. What's her name?
Hannah.
Hannah, mashallah. Hannah is my sister name.
Okay.
I'm the eldest, and then she comes after me. So she's the second after me, and then there's a third, Nadia, and then there is Bilal, and then there is Hamza, so on and so forth, right? So we have three brothers and two sisters. Okay, mashallah, that's great. Good job. If you need anything,
Thank you,
let
sir.
me know. Your data will be
Right, sir.
submitted to, EduQual in the next 2 to 3 weeks' time once we consolidate and compile everything, because every week we are submitting data to EduQual. and getting the diplomas accredited, and like all the diplomas and stuff like that. And if you need any assistance in admission to any university or anything like that, we can provide you that assistance, because we provide that assistance to all of our students. Okay? All right.
Right, sir.
Jazakallah khair for your
Thank you, sir.
time. I will see you next time. Assalamu alaikum
Inshallah.
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.